Welcome back to another video, and in this video I wanted to get super practical. I want to show you how you can take simple triad shapes and then use them to come up with different guitar parts. What we're going to do is we're going to also look at how you can go ahead and build dynamically using the guitar parts. What I mean by that is when you play worship, you want to have different levels and different gears that you can switch between as you play the song. Some of them will just be very nice textures that you can go ahead and create. Other times you want to create something rhythmically that's got an energetic vibe to it, and other times you might just want to play a little bit more melodically as it relates to bringing out some melodic movement without having to go into soloing mode. So those are kind of three different modes that you need to have down as a guitarist: textures, rhythmic energy, and some melodic movement without having to play an actual solo. So what I've got for you is a backing track in the key of G, 1, 4, 6, 5. It's being played at 74 beats a minute. This is the backing track in a modern worship style track. We've got hundreds of these tracks in different keys, different tempos, different progressions, all available at our Worship Guitar Skills Academy. You can check out the link in the description if you want to pick up one of these resource packs. So I'm going to use one of those tracks. Like I said, 1, 4, 6, 5. So my chords are going to be G, C, E minor, D. What I'm going to do now is I'll go ahead and play the three different parts, and afterwards I'm going to show you how they all come from simple triad shapes that you probably already know. And by the way, if you want to get this exact backing track and the tabs of what I'm playing, you can find the link to all of that in the description. Let's go ahead, play the three different parts, and then afterwards I'll come and show you exactly where they come from and how you can use the thinking in your own playing and not just copy the parts note for note, but that you can actually see how does a simple chord shape or a combination of chord shapes become a cool guitar part that you can use on a Sunday. Let's go ahead and check it out now. Alright, so there you go. Those were three different approaches that you can do with simple triads. Again, if you want to get the backing track and the tabs, you can just check the link in the description. Now, what I've used for all three of those parts is I basically just used simple triads. So let's go ahead and do a close-up and we can see the voicings. I played a G major like this, which is frets 5, 4, and 3 on strings 4, 3, and 2. Then I did a C, just a C triad like that. Then I played E minor, an E minor triad like that, and then I played D. So those are the simple shapes that I used for the song. Very importantly is you don't just want to grab a shape and play a shape. You want to create some kind of a musical phrase out of that. So what I did in this example is I kind of listened to the track, listened to what the drums were doing, and I tried to play something that is not just mechanically strumming the chord, but trying to give it some character as it relates to something that will fit within the backing track or within the progression that I'm playing over. So for the first chord, I just played my G triad and then I swelled the chord in with my volume control here on the guitar. So, alright, so I don't just come out and play it, I strike the strings and then I fade in the chord. Then what I did is I played G again. Basically, I played G, and then with my third finger, I hammer on. So I strike, hammer, strike. So basically, it sounds like this. Strike, hammer, strike. So that's just a bit of a musical statement that I'm making there. I pick the notes, hammer, pick. Then when I went to E minor, instead of just playing E minor like that, I played D for a moment and then I hammered onto the E minor triad. So you can see that without delay, it's going to sound like this. And then that fits really nice with the track. So I've got G as a swell, pick, hammer, pick. And then I pick, hammer, pick. And then, of course, with the track, you can go ahead and check out what's going on there as it relates to those voicings. So that's just a simple way in which you can play the triads, but kind of make it sound a little bit like a guitar part. Now, sometimes when you play worship songs, sometimes they might have a big intro and then they kind of go down for a verse, or they might have a soft and gentle intro into a very open verse. Then the second verse is maybe a little bit more guitar parts coming in where that choral thing I played will fit in really well. And then it's the chorus, and then on the repeat after the chorus is done, you go back to the verse. Again, that would be verse 3. Then the drums tend to come in. In some arrangements, it works like that. Now, when the drums come in, you don't want to stick to those kind of open texture-based chords. You want to do something that is going to have some rhythmic energy to kind of match the drums and the grooves there. So that's what I did when we went to the second part. In essence, all I'm doing is, instead of playing the triad now, which is all three notes like this, I went over into what we call 4-2 dyads. It's basically a triad, but I'm only playing the fourth and second string. 4-2, meaning the strings, and dyad, instead of a triad, it's a dyad, 2 notes only. So I play G, C, E minor, D. And I'll play this for you with the delay so you can kind of hear the part that I played. It sounded something like this. So obviously a lot of delay. Without the delay, you can hear the rhythm. It sounds like this. So there we go. That is what I did there. G to C, E minor to D. It's the same triad shapes that we used before, but I'm now only using the 4-2 dyads, and then I'm using this rhythmic approach in there. You can do many different things. I just felt that worked well with the drums, and then once I add in the delay, now sometimes I did a hammer like that just for some melodic movement, which kind of sounds cool. And then notice that I'm repeating that melodic line over, or the rhythmic line over and over. One problem that a lot of guitarists tend to run into is they don't repeat their ideas with enough intention or with enough repetition, and therefore it's hard for the congregation to kind of latch on to what's happening musically. Now, the third part that I did is I went ahead and kicked on my octaver over here, and then I played the same triads again, G, C, E minor, and D. The only difference is I only played the top notes of those triads, and then I just played exactly the same shapes, and then it kind of gave me this part. G, C, E minor to a D, and then I just had a little bit of a melodic phrase there. In fact, I did that for the rhythmic part as well. If we go back to the rhythmic sound, basically G, C, E minor, so I'm on E minor over here, and it just goes 8, 10, 12, 7. So it's just a nice melodic phrase that has some kind of an emotional signature and energetic signature to it. It's not just playing the notes. It's kind of making a statement. It's a form of expression. So it goes up, and I'm only picking one note. All the other notes are happening via hammer-ons or slides. G, C, E minor, D. So that's one way in which you can play a G triad, a C triad, an E minor triad, and a D triad, kind of doing a chordal thing. Then I can take that same triad, but I can leave out the middle note to turn the triads into dyads. And then finally I can just play the top note to kind of come up with a lead line that is not like a melodic line that's kind of calling for attention like a solo or a very specific hook. It's just single note lines, but those notes are literally coming from the triad shape. So that's another reason why learning triad shapes like this will actually show you what notes you can play as it relates to coming up with guitar parts. So I hope that this brief look into how you can take the same shape that I've just used here, the same 4 triad shapes, and I was able to come up with 3 different approaches. If we had more time, I can show you a ton of other approaches as well that you can do with the same voicings, but the idea is simple. Learn your chord shapes. Make sure that when you play chord shapes and when you play single notes that it lines up with the progression you are playing over, and get backing tracks like the one I've just showed you over here, because then you can have space for the guitar to come up with guitar parts and you can practice different things. We did another video all about the power of repetition, as well as how to use backing tracks like this. You can find the link in the description. Get the backing track I played over today, as well as the tabs. And if you want a whole host of backing tracks in different keys, different progressions, different tempos, and different combinations, we've got a bunch of resources at the Worship Guitar Skills Academy, and I'll also go ahead and link to that in case you want to pick any one of those packs up in order to have a resource to practice along in your practice sessions. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Check out the links in the description, and I'll see you in the next video.